YouTube, Twitter X, whatever you want to call yourself today. This is Ren Jones. I'm here for another quick and dirty live broadcast. I never wait to get into the broadcast because I know more people come and watch on the replay than they do watch live. So we're going to dive into it. So it's another beautiful, chilly, sunny morning in picturesque Charlotte, North Carolina. If you don't know who I am, my name is Ren Jones. I'm a certified personal trainer, certified corrective exercise specialist, certified nutrition coach, certified women's coaching specialist, yada, 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 on and on. I have 3 separate menopause certifications, and I primarily work with women over 30 as a population. That's the population that I serve because unfortunately I lost my mother to health-related issues, lost my older sister to lifestyle-related issues, lost my younger sister to lifestyle-related issues. So that's why I've chosen to serve this population. I feel like women are under-researched in the case of wellness, the entire fitness and wellness community, but over-marketed to. And what my attempt to do with my career is to close that gap, dig into the women-specific research, reduce a lot of the, quite frankly, stupid marketing that's thrown towards women. So here we are. I've got to pay the bills first, but I want to talk about the topic that I'm going to get into today. And we're just going to talk about, I want to give you 3 better ways, the 3 best ways as I've noticed as a personal trainer who's been doing this for a decade to track progress that do not involve scale weight specifically. We'll circle back around to that, but first I've got to pay the bills. Stop your scroll, give me a second, because I'm currently in my enrollment week. I take on about 5 new clients, women over 30, about every 4 weeks or so, every month, and currently I'm in my enrollment period. So if you're a woman over 30 that wants to get off the diet roller coaster, that wants to stop yo-yo dieting, want to build a better relationship with your body, and if you want to be able to do that within the constraints of the time that you actually have in your life, then my program might be a good fit for you. DM me the word live, L-I-V-E, after you watch this live broadcast. If that's you, DM me the word live. We'll have a short conversation in the DMs, see if what I do will be a good fit for you, and we'll take it from there. But let's get into the context of today's live broadcast because I got a few things that I want to share with you. So in terms of the best ways to track progress, the reason that I talk about this topic pretty often is because, as I said, I've worked with a population of women over 30 for about the last decade as a certified professional in the personal training and nutrition area. And I know that there's a fixation on scale weight, right? And I'm not here to demonize scale weight. I'm not here to demonize anything, but I want to give you some alternatives in your wellness journey, in your fitness life, that may better help you to get to your goal. And oftentimes, hopping on and off that devil's box with a 3-digit number on it doesn't help. So what are the alternatives? First, let's get into what I think might be complicating your journey if you're only looking at scale weight. A few things out of the way before we get to the good stuff. Number one is your weight fluctuates naturally. As a living, breathing, biological organism, your weight's going to go up and down because every single second of your life, your body's adjusting. It's a $100 word called homeostasis. And homeostasis just means your body wants to get back to where it's comfortable. Quick example of homeostasis. You go outside and it's cold outside. Your body gets cold. You start to shiver because your body is trying to warm itself up. It wants to return to homeostasis. You go outside. It's blazing hot outside. You start to sweat because your body's overheated. It wants to cool itself down. It wants to return to homeostasis. So because of that fact, that biological fact, and the fact that you're susceptible to all types of stimulus, ladies, hot, cold, sleep, stress, hunger, gotta pee, like all these things constantly affect your body weight. They cause it to go up and down throughout the course of the day. So the first reason why I don't like using body weight as a pure solo tracker of success is the fact that your body weight's going to shift naturally because your body naturally wants to be safe in its own skin. Due to that reason, body weight is going to fluctuate from time to time. The second reason why I don't like solely looking at body weight as a measure of your progress is the fact that it's not an indication of health, right? There's a law that I quote quite often. If you listen to the podcast I do with Jonathan Goodman or my podcast, you've heard me say this a few times. It's called Goodhart's Law. It's an economics law that we can cross-apply to exercise and nutrition. And the law says when a measure becomes a goal, it ceases to be a good measure. When the measure becomes a goal, it ceases to be a good measure. We can look at this in the context of what we might see coming in January. If you work in an office, you might have an office pool where you all put your money in because you're going to get healthy in 2024. And the manager at the office says, hey, we're going to have an office contest. We're going to get healthy this year. We're going to do a weight loss pool. So we're going to put our money in. You put $50 in. Whoever loses the most weight at the end of January, they're going to get the money, right? The measure of weight has become a goal in that context. And because the measure has become a goal, it ceases to be a good measure because people are going to do batshit crazy things to lose weight. People are going to be skipping lunch. Some people are going to be taking laxatives. People are going to be, ingesting all kind of detox things to give them diarrhea so they can poop the weight out. It's not leading to better health because you've taken something that could be a measure of health and you've made it the goal of health. And weight loss in and of itself is not an indicator of health. It could be a happy byproduct of more healthy behaviors, but choosing to just get to a weight is not a healthy endeavor because, again, we do batshit crazy things. You could get a stomach flu and lose weight. Unfortunately, you could get a very serious illness, cancer or something to that effect, and lose weight. You could lose a limb. You'll weigh less. You could go to Mars. You'll weigh less there. If my calculations are correct, there's less gravitational pull on Mars. It might be more because it's close to the sun. I digress. There are so many things that you could do to get down to a lower weight that chasing a weight loss goal specifically in and of itself, that's the only measure, can be detrimental to your health. More detrimental than it is helpful. So that's sort of the second reason why I don't like only factoring weight. The third reason why I don't like only factoring weight is because sometimes for some people it can become an obsessive compulsion to get fixated on the numbers. I've experienced that as a coach in my tenure, and in my 10 years of being a coach. I've experienced that often. So, Ren, if you're going to down weight, and I'm not down in weight loss, don't put words in my mouth, but Ren, if you're saying that that's not the best consideration, would you please stop running your yap and tell me what the 3 things are that you promised you were going to teach in this live session? Because I got to go, Ren. I got to get to work. So I'm glad you asked that question. So 3 things that I like to factor for progress, much more than weight. For the person who wants to change their body composition, if that's you out there, you want fat loss or fat reduction, or you want to gain muscle, you want to shift the percentage of body fat percentage to lean mass percentage. Maybe you're at 40% body fat and you want to be at 30, or maybe you're at 20 and you want to be a little bit less than that. I don't advise much less than that for your walking around body. For women, it can get complicated, could put some stress on your systems that aren't beneficial to your health either. But you want to reduce overall body fat. Body composition is your goal. Better than utilizing weight, I'd like to suggest that you utilize measurements. That's right. Get yourself an old-fashioned measuring tape and use measurements. That's great data that can indicate trends to you. Now, we go back and forth between validity and reliability here. And I want to tell you what I mean by that. Validity means that you may not always get the measurement perfect, but if you're using the same method to do the measurement, you'll get reliability. You'll get a reliable trend from it. That means you measure around the circumference of your neck. You put the tape here, measure it around, put it here, hold your finger, take it off, and you look at your measurement. You may not do that perfectly every time, but over the course of 12 weeks per se, I do a 12-week program. Over the course of 12 weeks, you'll have reliability in the trends of whether or not you've lost body fat, lost inches or centimeters, whatever your measurement of choice is, from your neck. So I typically have my clients who are looking for body composition changes. I have them measure around their neck once per week or once every other week. I have them measure around the nipple line and around the back to measure their chest and the width of their back. I have them measure right here in the umbilical, the belly button, and around. I don't really do waist because it can be hard to naturally find your waist, but hopefully your belly button's not moving around, ladies. I have them measure around the waist. I have them measure 4 inches up from their knee and around your thigh. I measure 4 inches up from the eye of the elbow and around the arm. And I measure around the calf, the fullest part of the calf. Those measurements over time give us an indication. Now, if you add those measurements to your weight, you start to see some trends. It's okay for me in the context of what I do. I typically tell my clients, I don't mind if you weigh yourself. If that's something that you're interested in, I do mind if that's your sole methodology for tracking progress. Now, if you're going to add weight to measurements, then you start to see some things that indicate to you. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely, Jimmy. I love those smart measuring tapes with the app. Those are really cool, by the way. Great comment. So if you're going to add weight to your measurements, then it makes sense. And a lot of times this is a great place for self-discovery because you may see that your weight does not change, but your waist circumference shrinks and your neck circumference shrinks and your hip circumference shrinks or increases. I love that measurement because it's always an indication to me as a client, as a coach, that I am increasing, that we're toning the backside, because a lot of women ask me for that. Again, I don't decide what you should do with your bodies, ladies. That's not my business. I'm just here to support you in whatever it is that you want to get accomplished. But you'll often see, and the women that I coach are often surprised by the fact that even though they're not dropping a considerable amount of scale weight, right? They see that their inches, their circumference measurements are going down. That's a great indication for me as a coach, because of what it says to me is that it says that we're keeping and maintaining that muscle, that tone, the thing that keeps your metabolism high, the thing that keeps you insured against cardiovascular disease later in your life, the thing that keeps you mobile and active. That's a good thing if you're maintaining the same weight and those circumference measurements are reducing. If your goal is to reduce body fat or change your body composition, that doesn't have to be your goal at all. We're going to talk next about some things that don't involve body recomposition, but that's why I want you to do measurements. It's an easy way to see the actual physical changes in your body because your mind distorts your mirror. So it's hard for you to figure that out by looking in the mirror. And because scale weight doesn't indicate health, nor does it indicate whether or not you're losing body fat, because you could lose body fat and your weight not change. If you're adding strength training to your protocol for your exercise, you may very well see an increase in your weight over time. Initially, because of glycogen stores, your muscles need energy, and when you start to work out, you're consuming food. Glycogen gets into your muscles. You need it for energy, but it also brings water with it. So a lot of the times when a client freaks out because they gain weight within the first 2 weeks, it's because they don't realize that they're holding a bit more water due to the energy stores, glycogen, that need to restore their muscles. And glycogen always brings a little water with it. That's a discussion for another time. But suffice it to say, weight alone isn't a good indication of whether or not you're changing your body composition. And even if you saw a reduction in weight, you could very well be compromising muscle. You could be losing muscle, which is the last thing you want to do. You talk about a horror show. You start costing yourself muscle in an effort to get down to a weight. and you're going to have some metabolic issues. Your metabolism is not going to run like you want it to. You're going to get weaker, you're going to get feeble, and you're probably compromising bone at the same time. You're probably losing muscle and bone. Let's move on to the second methodology that I like to use for tracking progress that I think is much better, far better than just looking at your weight. And the second one is your performance, right? And we often overlook this, and I don't know why, because it's the thing that actually counts for life. Nobody knows how much you weigh, but you know if you can get up a flight of steps, right? Nobody knows how much you weigh, but you know if you can lift the box, that you get Amazon box comes, you can't even get it inside your house, right? Nobody knows your weight, but you know that if you want to move your couch around or your furniture, you can do that if you want to. And there's few things more empowering for the women that I'm privileged to work with than for them to come into their own power. If you want to have a magical moment as a trainer, put a barbell in front of a woman that's equal to her weight and watch her deadlift it. It's like those videos. It's like those videos where you have the baby who maybe has hearing deficiency, and they're in the doctor's office and they get some hearing aids for the first time, and it's the first time they hear their mother say, "I love you," right? And the baby's crying and the mom's crying. I'm crying watching it. Like that's the type of energy that you get when you're working with a woman and you have that incident, that isolated incident where she lifts something for the first time that maybe she wasn't quite sure she could handle, and just watching a human come into their own power is the magic of what I get to do as a coach. Now, I'm online only now, so I don't get that magic in person like I used to, but your progress tracking is a great way to track your progress in your strength. Your performance is a great way to track your improvement over the course of time. You started out squatting with dumbbells that were 10 pounds each. At the end of a 12-week program, you're squatting dumbbells that are 50 pounds each. Amazing. You could not do a strict form push-up. At the end of 8 weeks, you find yourself being able to rep out 5 strict form push-ups. Amazing. You've never done a pull-up in your life. At the end of 12 weeks, you get your first strict form pull-up. Incredible. You couldn't walk to the end of your block. Now you can run. You can run your entire neighborhood. Incredible. These indications of progress are the most real-world indications that you can interact with as a client or as a person just out there doing their own thing. And I don't know why we don't gently redirect the women that we work with as coaches into, let's talk about some progress goals in terms of your performance. Let's talk about some progress goals in terms of your strength and increasing your strength. I've often told women who've asked me about what kind of goals to set. I've often redirected women who came to me to talk about weight loss or getting to a goal weight and said things like, if you get to the point where you can, and this is, I'm not being specific here, but for example, if you get to the point where you can load up a barbell with an amount of weight that's equal to your body and squat that weight 5 to 10 times. If you get to a point where you can get down on the floor and you can do 10 strict form pull-ups. If you get to the point where you can hold a plank for 1, 2, 3, or 4 minutes at a time. If you get to the point where you can run 1 mile without having to stop, climb 10 flights of stairs. If you get to these points where you're empowered by your ability to perform, I promise you, you'll be in a physique that you're satisfied with, either partly because you've adjusted your physique, if that's your goal, not my goal if that's your goal, but secondarily because you're able to perform and you feel empowered in the body that you're inhabiting. That's so important. So the second type of progress that I think is more important to track, more beneficial to track for you, is your performance progress. Because when you can do hard things in real life, you become extremely satisfied with your own physical presence and existence. That's number 2. The third progress type that I think is more impactful and more important to track, aside from weight or the scale, is your mental performance of consistency, right? I saw someone on Instagram at one point that was speaking on confidence and how so many of us lack self-confidence. And I can't remember exactly what he said, but the major point that this person was making was, it's hard to have self-confidence when you consistently let yourself down, right? It's hard to have self-confidence when you consistently break the promises that you keep to yourself, right? Confidence comes from evidence of completing something. Confidence comes from evidence of a victory. Confidence comes from evidence of setting a goal, doing the work, and achieving the goal. And a lot of ways we deconstruct our own confidence for not keeping the promise that we made to ourselves. So if you can chart out on the calendar, and my clients have calendars in the app that I use, if you could chart out a calendar of consistently showing up for yourself and track that through the course of a month or 2 months or 3 months, that's a great way to track your progress, your mental progress, your progress of consistency, your progress of doing the things that you told yourself you were going to do for yourself. That's going to increase your self-confidence. We don't like people who break promises to us. We don't like people who tell us that they're going to do things and then they don't do those things. And that includes liking ourselves, right? And I believe that one of the reasons that we struggle so much with ourselves is that we've broken so many promises to ourselves that we don't trust ourselves anymore. We can't count on ourselves, and we become a person that we do not like to spend time with. And I don't think that's odd. I think that's very natural and normal for humans. I just don't think that we often consider our relationship with ourselves. So the third type of progress that you can track, that I think is far better than tracking scale weight, is tracking your own consistency, your own ability to show up for yourself. That doesn't mean perfection, but that means every single week you lock in to some behavior that leads to whatever your goal is or whatever it is that you want to get out of serving yourself in your own wellness space. And that's my quick and dirty on the top 3 things, the top three ways that I love to track progress that have nothing to do with the scale. I've got to pay the bills one more time. I'm currently enrolling no more than 5 women over 30 who want to get off the diet roller coaster, who want to stop yo-yo dieting, women who do not want to count macronutrients, do not want to count calories, do not want to weigh and measure their food, and women who want to build a better relationship with their own body. If that sounds like you and you have exhausted yourself with the constraints of dieting, if you have exhausted yourself from not showing up for you in the way that you know you need to, if you've been planning to get healthy since 2000, since Y2K, and just keep putting it on the back burner and putting it on the back burner, I want to be a part of your wellness overhaul. If that sounds like you, DM me the word live, LIVE. We'll have a quick chat in the messenger. And we'll see if what I do in my signature 12 or 15-week program is going to fit what you need in your life. Enrollment ends this Sunday, December 3rd, or when all 5 spots are taken. I'm looking forward to talking to you. Thanks so much for showing up to this live broadcast. I'll be back tomorrow with another live broadcast at 8 a.m. Eastern. Until next time, let's keep it simple. Facebook, YouTube, X, LinkedIn. I'll see you next time. Thanks for rocking with me.